Hey guys, it's Natalie with Living the Oil Life, and right about now you are waiting for me to say it is a must-have Monday. But since I have been MIA for probably 3 weeks now, I'm not even sure. It seems like it's been forever. I thought today would be the perfect day to share a little bit of my story and being on dialysis, because some of you have asked about it and how I started it and what happened and things like that. And so I thought this would be a good time to do it because I've been away for like 2 or 3 weeks from Must Have Mondays, and it would just be a really good time to quickly share. But so we do not waste a must-have Monday, I will say this: you must have the common sense to listen to your body when it talks to you. If you can train yourself to really listen to your body, pay attention to the signs that it gives you, it will tell you what it needs and doesn't need. And that's one of the reasons why I was MIA, because I did not listen to my body. And I actually ended up going through a bout of diverticulitis, which I have never had in my life, which was extremely painful. And I would never wish it on my best or my worst enemy, my best enemy. I wouldn't wish it on my best enemy either. But it was absolutely horrible and I hated it. And I actually had to give in, oh, my hair. I actually had to give in and do a heavy dose of antibiotics to kick it. That's how bad I didn't listen to my body. If I would listen to my body about 3 weeks ago, probably wouldn't have been in the position that I was in. But that's your must-have Monday for today. So, for those of you that are new to my YouTube and to my channel or to this video, welcome. I'm glad you are here, and I'm so glad that you've checked it out. I hope you check out more videos like this one. And I also want to say thank you to all of the well wishes that I got while I was MIA. It's always wonderful to hear from other people and to say, hey, just thinking about you, want to make sure you're okay, just want to make sure everything, you weren't sick again, and that kind of thing. I just really appreciate it. It really makes my day, even though it's not a fun thing to go through. It was still nice to know that people were thinking of you, and I missed being here, and I missed seeing you guys or being with you guys. So I'm going to try to make this a quick story, because you know how I can ramble, but I wanted to share with you how I got on dialysis. For those of you that don't know, I have been on dialysis, I like to say for 20 plus years, because that does not give my age away, which I probably will anyway, which that's fine. I'm at the point now where I'm like, oh well, there's nothing I can do about it. That's what age I am. But I don't like to act that age. I like to act younger. So anyway, when I was little, I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, and lived there for quite some time until we moved to California, then moved back, yeah. But I had an unremarkable childhood health-wise. I had lots of allergies. I think I was allergic to everything. Way back when they did the testing with those little metal things where they like poked you all through your body like a pincushion and dropped all of the allergens on you. Yeah, I think I was allergic to almost everything on there. And I grew out of most of it. I'm very sensitive to avocados, bananas, certain dyes I'm allergic to. But anyway, it was never a huge issue. I never had measles. I never had mumps. I never had chickenpox. I never had any of that stuff. It was a very unremarkable childhood as health-wise. I did have whooping cough when I was little, and I did have asthma, and I think I was in like one of those oxygen tent things when I was little, but it wasn't any big deal. So fast forward to about 17. I was 17 years old. I was at a friend's house eating dinner, and I got very sick, and it wasn't really sick. I got very bad back pain. It was excruciating back pain that I'd never had before. And I ended up on the sofa for a couple of hours, ended up going to the ER, and ended up with a nephrologist who is a kidney doctor. And they said, yeah, I think you've got, some issues with your kidneys. And at 17, I'm not really thinking about it. I'm invincible to the world. I'm still in high school. I've still got my whole life ahead of me. Okay, I've got some kidney issues. It'll be okay, kind of thing. And it wasn't really dire in the back of my mind that anything was really wrong, because there was nothing that had to have been done right then and there. She said, it's just something you're going to have to watch. You're going to have to be careful and keep an eye on it kind of thing. Come and see me, blah, blah, blah. And I went on my way and I was fine. Never had any problems. When I was 20, I ended up getting very, very sick, ended up in the hospital, spent there about 20 days in the hospital, and they realized that it was my kidneys. And they said my kidneys were starting to shut down, and that it was inevitable that I was probably going to end up being on dialysis or needing a transplant. And so it was just really hard for me to digest. And so I finally did. And I'm a very stubborn, very strong person, usually when it comes to stuff like this. But I just kept getting sick. And they finally realized that they thought that my kidneys were the reason why I kept getting sick. So they said, you know what, we're going to have to take them out. And I'm like, both of them? You got to take both of my kidneys out? And they were like, yeah, we're going to have to take both of your kidneys out. You're going to have to go on dialysis. So I went into surgery. They took my kidneys out, and your kidneys are supposed to be the size of your fist. When they took mine out, mine were the size of quarters. They were like that big. So from there to about that big. I don't know if that's right. There you go. To about that big. That's how big my kidneys were. And that's what was making me sick. And once they took my kidneys out, I felt so much better because I wasn't sick. My body wasn't backing up. But I ended up spending my 21st birthday on hemodialysis. Now, hemodialysis, if you don't know, it's where they hook you up to this big machine. You start with a catheter, and then they will put a fistula or a graft in your arm. I don't know if you guys can see it. This was my original one. And this was actually, it's a piece of plastic that's in my arm. And they do that because they have to stick you twice a day, or three times a day, 3 times a week, not 3 times a day. Oh my goodness. 3 times a week with these Mama Jamma needles that are like this long and huge. They're not the little IV needles that we get for antibiotics and stuff like that. They're the big mamas. They're painful. And so they do that so that your veins and your arteries or anything don't collapse. So it's very tough. And so I started hemodialysis, and they stick you twice, one in each part of your arm. And the one needle, it pulls the blood out. It goes through this machine. It cleans it through a filter, and it pushes your blood back in your body over between, depending on how big you are, 3 to 4 hours each time. And that is how we get our blood clean. That is how the toxins are pulled out of our body. Now, this may be TMI for a lot of you, but I would say the majority of us on dialysis, or many of us on dialysis, do not pee. So the dialysis machine is what keeps us alive. Plain and simple. That's it. It keeps us alive because it's what pulls the toxins out of our bodies, because without it, the toxins would build up and eventually we would pass away from toxicity. Because I do not urinate, I don't pee, I can't get the toxins out that way either. So where was I going with that? I was on hemodialysis, and about a year later, I ended up getting a transplant, and it was a cadaver, meaning it came from a guy who had passed away on a motorcycle accident. I never was able to meet the family, and that lasted about a year and a half, and it ended up rejecting. And so about a year and a half after that, I ended up having another transplant, and that one lasted for almost 2 years. But the awesome part about having that transplant was that I was able to have my amazing, beautiful, and only daughter, Morgan, who you guys have probably seen on my videos before. She was my miracle baby. My nephrologist was a very loving nephrologist and knew I wanted children, and said, you know what, if you want kids, this is the time to do it, because you may not have another chance, because dialysis is very hard on the body. And when you're pregnant, you can have a baby, but you end up being on dialysis like almost every single day for long periods of time to help you and the baby stay healthy and well. And so I ended up having my beautiful baby, had no issues whatsoever with her. She was completely healthy and completely well, and did really great. And that one lasted for almost 2 years. and ended up having issues with medicine and my attitude and support system wasn't really great at the time, and just a lot of things compiled one on top of another, and I ended up rejecting that kidney and ended up back on dialysis, which I have been ever since. Because once you've been through a transplant, it's very, very hard. It's very emotional. It's very trying. It's hard. It really is hard. Even though it gives you a lot of, gives you your life back, it gives you the freedom, you're still on medicine. You're still having to be really, really careful. The medicine has side effects, and financially it's hard, and it's just a lot of emotions to go through. And my daughter was little, and a lot of personal stuff had gone through this long period of time that I just did not want to go back and try to get another transplant right away. So I ended up being on dialysis, and that's where I've been for now over, like I said, 20 years. I would love to be on what they call peritoneal dialysis, which I have done for years past. And that is where they put a catheter in your abdomen and it stays there 24/7. And it's not anything too intrusive. It is a little bit, but you kind of get used to it. But they put it in there, and what you do is you fill your belly up with like a sugar solution, and that sugar solution stays in your belly for a couple of hours. It helps to pull the toxins out. You drain that off, dispose of it, and then you put your fresh fluid in your belly again. And you do that 3 to 4 times a day, and then you also do it at night, which to a lot of people seems like a lot. But for me, when you do peritoneal dialysis, you're not as restricted eating-wise. You're not as restricted drinking-wise. You just feel so much better because your blood is constantly getting cleansed. Instead of Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays is the only time your blood is getting cleansed 3 days a week. And I have heard it said that a person that does dialysis, every time you do dialysis, it's kind of like running a 5K. It's just, that's the toll that it takes on your body. Now, let me go back. I realized that I didn't tell you why I ended up on dialysis. A lot of people ask me, are you diabetic? I am not diabetic. I am a conundrum when it comes to scientific things with the doctors. Anything that I get, they're always like, we just can't figure this out. We don't know what's going on with you. And I'm like, yeah, that's what usually happens with me. But they figured out that I must have had urinary reflux, where your urine does not drain all the way out. It drains and then it comes back up and it kind of sits in your bladder and it causes urinary tract infections. But I never had any signs at all. So it was just one of those things that happened. And so that's how I ended up with the scarred kidneys, is because every time you get an infection, it builds up scar tissue, and so it built up the scar tissue around the kidneys, and it ended up squeezing the kidneys to where they shrunk to be the sizes of quarters. So that is about my story in a nutshell of how I got on dialysis. And I do want to say to parents, part of that story of our story is that when my daughter was born, her pediatrician said, no, I think she's good. I don't think you have anything to worry about. It's, it's not hereditary, blah, blah, blah. He was very old school. And I noticed that she was having very strong urine smell in her diaper when she was a baby, and went to him. He knew my whole history, and he said, no, he said, I think she just needs to have a little bit of extra fluid, because at the end of the day, it would be clear and, she would be fine. It didn't smell at the end of the day. And so, I didn't know. I figured, okay, he's a doctor, he knows, and all of that. And fast forward to, we moved to Florida when she was almost 6, saw a new pediatrician, told the pediatrician my whole background. And she said, well, let's just check something out real quick. Did a test, and guess what? She had a urinary tract infection. Never once had any symptom except for her urine smelled strong. So did testing, a whole bunch of testing, found out, yes, she did have urinary reflux, and it was operable. So we ended up going to Shands in Gainesville, which is about 6 hours away, which was an absolutely amazing hospital, but our time there was an absolutely traumatic one because it ended up after she had the surgery went well, it went really great, but because of the anesthesia, and when you go to sleep with anesthesia, everything goes to sleep, her kidneys would not wake up. And we'd not realized that until she just kept throwing up and kept throwing up and kept throwing up. And we're just like, what is going on? And they did testing, and sure enough, her kidneys weren't waking up. So they said, well, let's do a round of dialysis to see if it will kick them awake. That, as a mama, completely broke my heart. So they did a round of dialysis. I sat with her the whole time, cried the whole time like a baby. One, because my baby was on dialysis and I just did not want, all I could see was her future and her being where I was. And two was to see the babies on there that have to do dialysis like I do. That just completely broke my heart. So she's absolutely fine now. The kidneys woke up, they kicked in, and she's never had an issue since. But I always encourage parents when I hear that their kids keep having reoccurring urinary tract infections. I always encourage them, please go to the doctors, please get it checked out, because you don't want it to damage your kidneys. Because I forgot to add this part, when they were testing her kidneys and doing x-rays and CT scans and stuff like that, they found that her right kidney was starting to get just a little bit scarred. So that broke my heart, because I thought if we would not have caught it then, she would be where I was. And that was really hard. That's it in a nutshell. I know I'm rambling probably by now, but I just wanted to share a little bit with you guys. If you guys have any questions, if you have any comments, please be nice and comment below. Any really nasty comments will be deleted, because I just don't do nasty. I don't do drama. But I'm here to help you guys in any way that I can. Like I said, I'm not a professional. I am not an expert. I'm just somebody that loves to learn. I'm somebody that loves to share. And if I can help you guys in any way, I would love to do that. And so, yeah, this video wasn't scripted, so I'm not even quite sure where to go from there. If you want to hear anything else about my story, just comment below, send me a message, and I don't know. We'll see where it goes from here. And I think I'll do a video of how my dialysis journey got me into the cleaner living and essential oil journey for another video, so I'm not keeping you guys too long. But thanks for listening, guys. If you liked the video, of course, give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it, so I know that this helped you, or that you'd like to hear more like this. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I would love to keep up with you via the YouTube, and I am on Facebook, Living the Oil Life with Natalie, and on Instagram, and I don't know where else. So until next time, guys, as always, keep living the oil life, and I'll see you later. Bye.